so think about a skill that you have. It can be a band instrument that you've learned to play. It can be a sport. It could be some kind of hobby, whether it be taekwondo or dance. Maybe if you're Spanish or Chinese, you've been learning a new language. Learning to read, everybody knows how to read. So think about how you learned that skill. Think about that for just a second. Think about all the parts of your body that you needed. What did you focus on? Did you practice? Think about how you learned that new skill. And when you have an idea of your skill and ready to share, raise both hands. Just to be different, raise both hands. All right, he's ready. So since we're talking about the brain, I'm going to pass around, I'm going to throw around a little brain today. All right, so he's got the brain. Tell us what your skill is and how you learned it.
Well, my skill is football.
Okay.
And I learned it with a bunch of hard work and practicing.
All right, and what did you focus on during your practice?
Well, I'm a tight end, so I focused on like catching and running after you catch.
And what parts of your body did
Blocking.
you focus on when you were catching?
Hands, legs, and yeah.
All right, very good. So practice doing something over and over and focusing on the parts of your body that you need to make that work. All right, who wants the brain next? Pick somebody. Good catch.
My skill is also football. I mostly have to focus on like my hands and arms for like throwing the football.
All right, hands and arms for throwing the football.
I play the clarinet, and you have to focus on really your fingers, because if you don't cover the holes all the way, you can squeak.
All right, so focusing on your finger movements. And how did you learn? Did you just start playing the clarinet and play out a whole song?
Oh, no, we had to practice, and like you have to practice with your back not on the chair and your feet flat on the floor, and posture, basically.
Posture. So one step at a time. First you start with good posture, then you learn how to hold the instrument. All right, very good.
I dance, and I just go to dance class every Tuesday night, and the reason, I don't know, I'm good at it because I practice, and I practice because I don't want my dance teacher to get mad at me.
All right, so you have a little bit of motivation on the outside when you practice, but then you also look at how do you get better at dance. So I took dance, so I know a little bit about it. Don't you focus on certain parts of your body or certain steps to make sure those steps are perfect?
And especially in ballet, you have to keep your feet pointing.
Okay, so focusing on pointing your feet. All right, throw the brain to one more person.
I'm really good at the trumpet,
Okay.
and I have to use my hands because there's these different slides and valves, and I also have to know when to tighten up when I buzz and when to buzz faster.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So what I heard everybody say was practicing something again and again, and then focusing on the different parts of your skill, whether it's your body parts that you use or your mind or your breathing, your posture, focusing on that to perfect it and continue to get better. And that's exactly what we do with our brain. We focus on how we think, being mindful. And so in understanding how your brain works, I think it's an important part of knowing mindfulness. And so we're going to focus on the three important parts that help you be more mindful. And so go ahead and take your hand, put your thumb to your palm, and then wrap your fingers around. So you end up with this. And if you're looking at it, that's the front of your brain. So think about that's your eyes staring back at you. So that's the front of your brain. And that is the prefrontal cortex part of your brain. And the prefrontal cortex helps you make good choices and make good decisions. So those of you that are football fans and know what the quarterback is, the quarterback's kind of in control, supposed to be calm, making good choices, calling good plays, right? So that's like the quarterback of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. Then you have the amygdala. What's a funny word? Can you say it? Amygdala?
Amygdala.
All right, you have the amygdala, which are like the blockers that protect the quarterback. They react to anything that comes into your brain. So anything that you see, hear, smell, movement, that's your amygdala right here through your fingers. And then in the center is your hippocampus, which is like the coach that has all of the information, all of your memories, everything that you've learned stored here. So what do you think happens when your brain, when your amygdala senses something bad? What do you think happens? What might it look like? Can anybody show me? Think about, have you ever heard the term flipping your lid? You got angry and flipped your lid? That's literally what happens in your brain. Your amygdala shoots up and kind of goes crazy. And then it prevents your prefrontal cortex from making a good decision. So, in case you don't like football or understand that, I've got something for the rest of you. The jumpy superhero is what? Your amygdala. It tries to protect you from everything that comes in, but when it senses something bad, it goes a little bit crazy, and that's what causes your reactions that you felt like you reacted and didn't control. Then you have the smart one, which is your prefrontal cortex that figures out stuff, helps you make good choices. And then the librarian is like your hippocampus that remembers and stores all of your information. All right, so in understanding how that works, your amygdala determines your emotions and it triggers your behavior, whether it's good or bad behavior. And then we process the information into prefrontal cortex. And if it's good information, hopefully you analyze, interpret the information before you move forward in a response. So that's kind of what it all looks like. So your amygdala gets information, it moves to the prefrontal cortex, and then you make a good decision or formulate a good response. When this happens, when your amygdala shoots up and goes out of control, it doesn't move to the prefrontal cortex, which causes all the bad reactions. Can you think about a time that you reacted and you really just didn't think about it, and then you regretted it? Either your decision or your words got you in trouble or hurt someone's feelings? I can think about that. I know we've all done that. And that's when this happens. You trigger a bad response because you were unmindful. So now thinking about that, let's talk about the difference between mindfulness and unmindfulness, because we all want to practice being mindful and controlling our thoughts and controlling our actions so that they go to the prefrontal cortex and we make a good decision. So unmindfulness is when those don't happen. So let's identify some different examples of mindfulness and unmindfulness.
Liking things because other people like them.
What do you think about that? What do you think, Bill?
Unmindful.
Unmindful. Why is that unmindful? It's kind of the same thing as doing something because somebody else did it. You're not thinking and forming your own thoughts. You're just making a decision based on what somebody else did or said. So that's right, that's unmindful.
Not taking the time to notice whether other classmates may want to join your gamer group.
All right, what do you think about that?
Unmindful.
Not taking the time to notice that one of your classmates may want to join your group or your game. Sometimes we're so busy focusing on what we have to do that we don't notice the people around us, that someone's feelings may be hurt, that they may be excluded. So in that moment, when you practice mindfulness, you're more likely to look around you and see that someone else needs to be included. Go.
Daydreaming or tuning out to what is happening without really noticing and hearing things around you. And mindfulness.
Daydreaming, because then you miss out on important information. Let's see what we can find. I promise there are some mindful examples in there.
A classmate trips in the hallway. You begin to laugh. Unmindful.
Unmindful. We're pulling out all the unmindfuls. Let's see. So that's your reaction. You maybe thought it was funny, but then you hurt their feelings because you didn't think about what your response was.
Thinking about what you are going to say next time when someone is speaking to you.
So somebody is talking to you, and you're already thinking about what you're going to say back.
Mindfulness.
Unmindful.
Wow. Because you could
If you're listening, yes, it's important to give somebody your full attention before you're thinking about your own response. Here's a good one. Looking at someone's face when you're talking to them to see how they are reacting to what you are saying.
Mindfulness.
Mindful, considering others. A lot of times, peer conflicts happen because someone was unmindful. I won't say that they intended to be mean. They were just unmindful of how their words or their actions were hurting someone else. But the important part of this all is, so we all know that we should be mindful, right? When I came in here today and I said mindfulness, you all thought, yeah, that's a good thing. Nobody thought, oh, I don't want to be mindful. So let's look at how do we practice mindfulness? Because we've already talked about the skills that we built in building our instruments and dancing.